Welcome. Hi, I'm Ida Reis, certified divorce lending professional. And this interview is part of the Divorce Literacy Series from the Divorce Lending Association. And it's a unique project in which we are interviewing various family law professionals to help families to sort of sort through and gather information, families that are in maybe thinking about divorce or in the middle of divorce who are looking for information and help. And so we're going to start today with our guest, who is Christina Snyder. Welcome, Christina.
Ida, thank you so much for including me in your podcast and allow me to share my experience today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure. Would you tell us about your financial planning services and why you've chosen to focus part of your practice on divorce?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I specialize in retirement income and financial planning. I've been in the financial services now for about 28 years. I started my career in the banking and I was with the same institution for 20 years, and 15 of those years I was in the wealth management, helping families maximize their wealth and minimize their taxes. I'm now part of Jacob William Advisory. I'm one of the partners there. And we are an independent financial planning investment advisory firm. And we do have a fiduciary responsibility for our clients. And we believe that money doesn't have to be complicated. And we strive in providing clarity and understanding in our clients' financial lives through continued education, one-on-one meetings, and having a comprehensive team planning approach. Now, having said all that, the reason why I've incorporated just the divorce planning into my own practice is because, unfortunately, divorce is a common aspect in today's society. We're seeing more and more families go through a divorce, and it's a very difficult process. And as a child of divorced parents myself, I know firsthand the impact that can have on a family, especially the financial impact. And studies we've seen over and over that a divorce results in the household income being reduced. And for women, we see about maybe a 41% reduction. And for men, it's about a 23% reduction. And for those reasons, I wanted to use my expertise to help family during a very difficult time in their lives, to help them in the financial piece, to help them make smarter decisions based on what they have, and to know that at the end, everything is going to work out okay.
That's great. Well, so glad to hear that. So if you had to summarize how you would uncomplicate, because you use that terminology, uncomplicate things for a divorce client, can you give us an idea of how you would begin and sort of take somebody along with that process?
Unfortunately, it's one of those things that every situation is so unique and so different. But I feel that if somebody's considering going through a divorce, ending their marriage, I think the first thing that needs to be done is to get a good support system, because again, our situation is different. But on the financial aspect, I think it's very important to get financially organized, to understand, the assets that the person has, the debt that they may have, their standard of living, how much income is coming in, what is their expenses, how that may change going forward. And then at the same time, make copies of very important documents, right? Such as tax returns, life insurance products, health insurance, information about the kids, marriage certificates, because even the marriage certificate, right? That might be needed down the road if the individual is looking to receive Social Security from their ex, if they're eligible, of course, and they'll need that marriage certificate and that divorce decree. So those informations are very important to have, as well as just understanding what the next steps might look like. There's a lot of free resources out there, and I think if anything, it's very important to educate yourself, because that will help that individual to make an informed decision about their specific situation.
That's great. That is really very comforting, I'm sure, for our audience listening here. If you had to sort of talk about a particular instance without violating any privacy, how were you able to make a difference that really comes to mind when you talk about a divorce client that you worked with?
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of divorced clients, and and all of them are so very different and unique, and they're all so dear to me as well. One that comes to mind was maybe about 5, 6 years ago when I was working with a client. She was in her mid 30s. She was in a very challenging situation. She unfortunately she was in a very emotionally abusive relationship, and mentally as well, and she needed to exit the relationship, but she didn't really know in the beginning how to do it, right? Her husband, at the time, he had control of all the finances, so she felt trapped. She felt like she didn't have the financial means to get out of the relationship. They also had a young son, and her main priority was her son. But after, just again having that system around her, she decided to begin the process. She actually moved out of the house. She moved into it with her parents. She took her son with her. Her ex at the time was furious, and he had the financial means to make her life very uncomfortable, and he did. The divorce process took about 2 years to complete from beginning to end. And during that 2 year period, she felt very just emotionally just exhausted. She just was trying to keep it all together, and it took everything she had in her power to do so. And at the time, I was able to give her some advice, but it wasn't until after her divorce was final that we were able to sit down and understand, okay, what is her game plan going forward? What is the income that we should be focusing on, her expenses? How do we create her own personal savings plan? How do we create our own balance sheet? And what are the things that we can focus on today versus tomorrow, and so forth? So unfortunately, she didn't get a lot of money from the divorce. So we had to really focus on our own financial means. And it took some time. And this is where sometimes, we do have to allow the process to kind of carry itself out. And it can be, just we want to see the results right away, but it does take some time. So little by little, we worked on her game plan. And it's interesting to see where she is right now. Right now, her life is completely different. She's now in her, early 40s. She's thriving. She feels, that her, I wouldn't say that her life didn't have meaning before, but she's seeing her life through a different lens. She's happy. She loves her job. Her financial situation has changed substantially, where she is and where she's going to be even in the future. So one of the things that was very gratifying for me is that, that sticking to the plan and just analyzing it and giving that comfort, that peace of mind that things are going to work out is priceless. So we worked on our estate planning documents. We worked on our spending plan. We worked on updating her life insurance policy. We worked on, just being able to create our own personal savings plan and diversify her savings. So from a financial standpoint, we did a lot of different things to provide that clarity that she needed in her own personal life to know that she was going to be okay.
That is so encouraging to hear a story like that. And I'm sure that the support of someone like you gave her the confidence to make decisions. It's great. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for sharing your very valuable time with us today. It's been a great interview, giving our audience lots of information to think about. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners at all?
Yeah, I would say that first of all, divorce is difficult for everyone involved, right? And sometimes we don't know what to do or what option might be best for us when it comes to ending our divorce. So, I think the one thing is, as I mentioned earlier, it's important to educate ourselves, right? To understand what are the different options out there. So, for example, somebody might use mediation, others might use a collaborative process. Others might use the litigation through the court system. And there's different factors to consider. Sometimes the divorce might be amicable, other times it may not be, and there's might be a lot of hostility involved. Sometimes there's a lot of assets, other times there's not. Other times we have to consider, children into the equation. So depending on your specific circumstances, I think it's very important to understand what is the right option, right? Because that will help you find the right individual, the right professional that will help you through your situation. So for example, you might realize that mediation is the right approach, the right option to use. And if that's the case, then you want to find that attorney that specializes in mediation. Now, I'm a big fan of the collaborative process. And I know it may not be the right fit for everybody, but the collaborative process allows, it's a team approach, right? You have a family law attorney, you have a financial neutralist, just like myself. You have, a mortgage specialist like yourself, Ida, and we all come together to help the couple end their divorce. And what we're finding is a lot of times the resolution comes quicker than your traditional litigation through the court process that may also be very cost effective for the couple. So my point being is that, just review the options that are available. And then lastly, the one thing I would say is be kind to yourself, right? Because sometimes we forget to do that because there's so many things that are going on. And that's why it's so important to have that right support system.
That's great. So can you please give us your website for our audience to contact you?
Absolutely. So it's www.jacobwilliam.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much again, Christina. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.